While a lot of us weren't paying attention, a new contender in the sneaker space has been slowly building up a very impressive catalog of new sneakers to take on the big brands. And today, we're gonna find out if they're actually any good. And in this box is the latest sneaker from the brand I'm talking about. This is the brand new Lacoste L003 2K24. The brand new flagship sneaker that's continuing on with the L003 Lacoste lineup, which if you guys don't remember, last year we took a look at both the Lacoste L003 active runway sneaker and the Neo. And while the runway model was definitely more of a conceptual and wild design, the Neo model toned that down quite a lot to be just a pretty solid everyday sneaker. And this brand new 2K24 model definitely has some improvements on both of those, which we will get into. And you can also see that Lacoste is trying to branch out a little bit now. They just did a High Snobiety collaboration on this exact sneaker model. And of course, along with that collab, a ton of amazing colorways from the mainline. So a massive thanks to Lacoste for sending out 4 different pairs for us to check out and sponsoring today's video. Okay, so let me give you guys a couple key details about the Lacoste L003 2K24. It retails at $160 or £140 here in the UK, which is definitely more on the pricier side, but I'm not that mad considering what you're getting. Now, it actually launched with 10 different colorways, so you've got plenty to choose from. My personal favorite is actually this one. It's the all-over sail and black colorway. Just look at that. It's definitely a solid everyday pair. But at the same time, this white and green colorway is definitely catching my eye. So I think either one of these are probably up there with my favorites. Now, in terms of sizing, they do actually fit true to size. However, I will say that this toe box ends up being a little bit narrow. You can see it kind of comes in a little bit. So you might find it a little bit snug if you have wider feet, in which case I would suggest going up a half size. Now, the actual materials on here are not bad. It does have that retro runner design, so the base of this sneaker is all over mesh. You got some slightly wider base mesh around the toe box, and then you've got some thicker mesh around the side panel, so it definitely has a good amount of breathability. Now, over the top, you've got synthetic leather overlays, and that's pretty much all of the white and silver paneling that you see on this specific white and green colorway. But overall, it doesn't stray too far away from any other retro runner. It's pretty comparable in terms of just materials overall. It feels solid in hand. The mesh and the padding is pretty thick, and these materials do give it a very sporty look, which I think is definitely one of my favorite parts about this pair of sneakers. Kind of how Lacoste developed the entire L003 lineup while staying true to their DNA as a brand. A lot of times you'll see brands sacrificing their brand identity just to release a sneaker that's trending. But this sneaker and the entire L003 lineup, I think, matches the sporting heritage of Lacoste and a lifestyle sneaker model. I mean, Lacoste has been making footwear for over 60 years. Now, granted, mainly focused on tennis, but these blend both of those worlds pretty damn well. Now, the midsole that you get on here is pretty much your standard EVA foam that you get in a lot of other sneakers, which is actually not too bad for cushioning underfoot. You will feel that it is pretty soft, but this one also has a TPU insert, which you can see in the green color moving along the entire length of it, which overall adds a lot of stability when you're walking around in that. Now, the outsole on these things is the most interesting part, because when you flip it over, it's actually spiky. Now, it's nothing crazy, you know, don't think anything close to like some stuff that Off-White has done. You only have these small rubber spikes around the outside of the shoe. It's not on the base where your foot's going to be contacting the floor. So you will only just slightly actually feel these spikes when you're walking around. And over time, I'm sure they actually wear off as well. But that's another element of mixing Lacoste heritage with tennis and into this lifestyle sneaker model. And I think it kind of works. Now, the one thing you will notice when you're wearing these things is the ankle padding, or even the tongue padding as well. It's actually pretty substantial and it feels damn cozy on foot. It also adds a little bit of bulk to the upper of the shoe, which I do actually like when I have them on foot. Now, in terms of the overall comfort of this pair of shoes, when you mix all of these different elements together, it's definitely not bad. I don't think it's anything special like you get with some of those super cushioned running shoes, but generally speaking, I don't think you're gonna have any issues with the comfort of these things. You can easily throw them on all day and be perfectly fine. It's super interesting because what I really liked about the L003 runway shoe was how crazy the design was. It had so many different features, like the massive overlaces, all of the exposed foam raw edge materials that you found on there. It really felt like a concept of sneakers just brought to life to a production model. It's definitely one of those shoes that when you're walking around in it, you know, people have to kind of double take because they do actually look pretty crazy. Now, the Neo model, on the other hand, which they kind of released alongside, that I I believe, just kind of toned it down a little bit too much, where it just kind of blended in so much that it was just like an average pair of sneakers. And I think this 2K24 model is the perfect blend of both of those ideas. You know, it's still got some of those wild conceptual style elements like the spiky outsole, this TPU shank that runs in between the midsole, and even just the general shape of it is pretty unique. But it doesn't go too far out to where it's a pair of shoes that you only want to wear on some specific occasions. This is something that's going to be pretty damn easy to style. I also feel like this is the most practical L003 model Lacoste has released. Now, like I was saying, you do get a ton of options with this model, so let me show you one of the first ones. Like I was saying, you've got kind of a vintage effect with these. I mean, that sail is pretty normal, but it kind of does have that aged effect slightly. I mean, it doesn't have any kind of distressing or anything like that. It really does just look like a tan taupe color mixed with the black and silver. So yeah, definitely up there is one of my favorites because I think this is a very, very easy colorway to throw on and style with pretty much any outfit. And then we've got this pair, which actually happens to be the all over black one. So if you're a fan of all over black, a little bit easier, I guess you could say, to style. It's literally just triple black with some metallic overlays in all over silver. This one, out of all of the different colors, obviously highlights those silver accents quite a lot because that's pretty much the only thing you can see shining through this dark colorway. This is one that I actually think might be one of the most popular colorways, and that is the all over blue and red. There's something about this combination of colors that just really gives it that retro look. And honestly, it's not bad. If you wanted a little bit of pop of color on that retro runner design, this is definitely a good way to go. But yeah, overall, whatever colorway you go with, I think you're gonna find that this is a relatively easy sneaker to style. If you've ever tried a retro runner, it's definitely in that DNA where they kind of look good with cargos and jeans, or throw on a pair of shorts, and I think they still look pretty decent. Overall, I think Lacoste has created a pretty solid sneaker lineup in terms of the L003. Two solid ones at the beginning, and I think they've now created the best so far. It's not only technically the best pair in terms of the actual materials and quality and design, but it's also just the best looking, at least in my opinion. These have been really cool to check out, and I'm excited to see what Lacoste does in the future. Every sneaker that you've seen in today's video will be available with links down in the description below, so definitely check that out. A massive thank you to Lacoste for sending all of these sneakers over and continuing to support the channel. A massive thank you to you guys for using my links when I have them. It helps out the channel massively. And of course, thank you guys for supporting the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.